Welcome to Algebra 1, Chapter 8, Section 3, Multiplying Polynomials. On the review page, we are talking about products. For the first strip of yellow, cross out the expressions that do not show a product. While remembering that a product is multiplication, we know that the first one is a product. The second one is a quotient, because it's a division, so it's not a product. Yes, it's a product. Yes, it's a product. And this is a sum. It's addition, not a product. In the second one, we're going to circle the integer that shows the product, or the multiplication, of 12 and 4. Here's our multiplication of 12 and 4, 48. For the third one, circle the product of the monomials, 12, which is a constant, and x squared. 12 times x squared is 12x squared. There are really only two parts to multiplying a polynomial by a monomial. First, distribute the monomial. Then, combine like terms if any exist. In this example, we're going to distribute 5n. First, we're going to multiply 5n by 3n cubed. That equals 15n to the fourth. Then we're going to multiply 5n by negative n squared. That equals 5n cubed. Then we're going to multiply 5n times 8, which is 40n. In this example, we're going to multiply the monomial, negative 2x times x squared plus 4x minus 7. If you think you've got this down, pause the video, try this, and then refer back to the video when you've completed it. First, take the negative 2x, multiply it by the x squared. That makes negative 2x cubed. Then take the negative 2x and multiply it by the positive 4x. That is negative 8x squared. Finally, take the negative 2x and multiply it by the negative 7. That makes it positive 14x. In this case, we are multiplying a binomial by a binomial. Look at the second factor. I have circled the second factor in red. Now I'm going to take each term of the first factor and multiply it to the second factor. So I'm going to take the x times 4x, and then I'm going to take the x times 3. Then I'll take the negative 6 in the first factor and multiply that by 4x, and then multiply that by 3. As you can see, x times 4x is 4x squared. X times 3 is 3x. Next, I will distribute the negative 6. Negative 6 times 4x is negative 24x. Negative 6 times positive 3 is negative 18. My next step will be to combine like terms. The like terms I have is the positive 3x and the negative 24x. When I combine those, that part will be a negative 21x. So my simplest form of this equation is 4x minus 21x minus 18. Think about this. Would you get the same answer if you distributed the first factor instead of the second factor? And the answer is yes. It does not matter which way you distribute. The answer will be the same. The distribution method you just saw when we multiplied a binomial by a binomial is often called the FOIL method. The FOIL method only works when you're multiplying a binomial by a binomial. The second option, the box method, works for a binomial by a binomial, but it will also work for any polynomial multiplied by any polynomial. Here's another example of using the distribution method, also called the FOIL method. As you can see here in red, we're going to multiply the first terms of each binomial, 3x times x, which is 3x squared. Then in teal, we're going to multiply the outer of the two binomials, 3x times a positive 2, which is 6x. Then in purple arrow, you see the inner terms of the two binomials, negative 4 times x, which is negative 4x. And finally, the last, the green arrow, negative 4 times 2, which is negative 8. Thus, the simpler form is 3x squared plus 2x minus 8.
Can you reason out what would change if instead of a 3x minus 4, we had a 3x plus 4? Think about how the terms combined. Look under the words outer and inner in question 12 and see if you can figure out what would happen differently. And if you can't, bring it to class as a question tomorrow. Here's a binomial times a binomial, so you can use the FOIL method to solve this. First, we'll multiply 2x times x, which of course is 2x squared. Now we have the outer, which is 2x times 2, which is 4x. Then we have the inner, 1 times x is 1x. And last we have the last, 1 times 2, which is 3. To finish, we need to simplify. So we look at the 4x plus the x, which are like terms, and our final answer will be 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. Now I've told you that there were two methods, the FOIL method and the box method. The FOIL method is very well known and works for binomials, but it doesn't really work for any other polynomials. The box method can be used in many different instances. You see a couple examples here of what's going on using the same problem. With the box method on the right, you see that we make a box, and we give each term its own row or column, and then we combine them, much like a multiplication table would work. Let's try one of those and see what it looks like. As you can see here, I have two binomials that I wish to multiply together, and I've created a box. So I need to take the first binomial and split it up. Each term gets its own column of the box. Now I'm going to take the second binomial and give each term its own row of the box. Notice I was careful to carry the negative sign with the -7 when I put it in its row on this box. Now I'm going to combine these. 2x times 3x is 6x squared. 2x times -7 is -14. 3x times 4 is 12x. -7 times 4 is -28. Let's go ahead and list, and then we'll combine the like terms to create our simplified equation, which you can see is 6x squared minus 2x minus 28. The box method is well received because it works with all polynomials. As you can see here, we have a trinomial times a trinomial. We've set it up in the box method. I've shown the work and then simplified it to give you the answer. Here we're going to take a binomial and multiply it to a trinomial, both distribution and the box method. We'll do distribution first. Notice I've changed the order here and put the 2x minus 7, the binomial, first. I find it easier to distribute that way. First I'm going to multiply the 2x times the 3x squared and get 6x cubed. Then we take the 2x and multiply it by the x and get 2x squared, and multiply the 2x by the -5 and get -10x. I have now used the first term of the binomial and multiplied it with everything in the trinomial. Then I'll take the -7 and multiply it to everything in the trinomial as well. -7 times 3x squared is 21x squared. -7 times x is -7x. -7 times -5 is positive 35. Now I'll go ahead and simplify, and you see we get 6x cubed minus 19x squared minus 17x plus 35. Let's now work the same problem using the box method. We have 2x times 3x squared, that makes 6x cubed. 2x times x, 2x squared. 2x times -5, -10x. Then we go down to the next row, -7 times 3x squared, -21x squared. -7 times x, -7x. -7 times -5, positive 35. And you'll see we're going to simplify here. And our final answer is 6x cubed minus 19x squared minus 17x plus 35. If you have any questions on this or have trouble doing the lesson check, make sure you bring them to class tomorrow.